Welcome back, everybody, to another exciting episode of Furu Finance. It's going to be a very good show for you guys. This is the first time in a while, so viewership might not be as good. It's also on a very short notice. I literally got home from work a little bit early and I wasn't doing anything. So I'm thinking, hey, if I'm not going to stream now, then when will I stream? What an opportunity. Let's take advantage of it. It's been a long time since I got on here and I was talking about HEX. But, I never streamed in the past 3 weeks or something. I've also never left, okay? I'm still checking the price every day, maybe a little bit more frequently than I should be. And I'm still following the news very closely. And I'm still staked. As a matter of fact, I'm staked out for 15 years, which I'm sure many of you are as well. Just a great opportunity to really accrue T-shares, because this is going to be the lowest rate that it will ever be in HEX terms. And the HEX price is still down like 97% or something from the all-time high. I remember when I was spending a lot more money to get a lot less T-shares, and the T-share rate is going up very fast, a lot faster than I even thought it was. And I had a decent amount liquid. I'm like, hey, if not now, when? So really exciting stuff going on. We're going to be taking a look at the chat, obviously, see how you guys are doing, answering your questions. We're going to be looking at the charts. There's also a few things to cover. One thing was the Richard Hart stream wasn't a stream. It was a recording that he posted on his Twitter and in one of the telegrams. So he spoke for like 40 minutes. So people wanted a live stream. That was really the equivalent of a live stream. So we'll talk about that a little bit. There's also what I'm accumulating, because it's not just HEX anymore. There is also Pulse Chain. There is also Pulse X. There are also a lot of projects building on Pulse Chain, which people are into, which I'm personally not into. There's also EHEX. There's also INC. There are a lot of things out there. So I'm going to be maybe discussing a little bit on how I'm allocating my money, starting to get a paycheck, which is good, which is going to allow me to accumulate more. I wish I got this job a little bit earlier when the price was under a penny, but hey, it is what it is. So we'll talk about that. There's also the EXPX thing. I don't know if we're going to have time for that, but there was the incident where we had this Alex the Whale. He was live on the Matty Allen live stream, and he was saying how him and his boys were gonna be buying up EHEX, and then they ended up dumping it, unfortunately. Price is it's a little bit less than 2-1, but maybe we'll talk about that a little bit. So a lot to get into. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a chat. We don't see any of the regulars in the chat right now because this stream was on a very short notice. So what's going on, Mr. Hellbox? Welcome. I don't think I've seen you, so thank you for tuning in. He has something to say about Johnny Chaos. Okay, whatever. I hope he does all right. What's up, Dynamic Soul? Cook your bags for 2 stoves, 8 pots. Yeah. Pack your bags. I think pack your bags is the more appropriate way to label it. But yeah, that's all we got in the chat. So not typical. But let's get into the chart. Has been a while, and the price has actually been having a bit of a pullback. Still over a penny, 1.2. There's really not much to say. I hope you guys were dollar cost averaging throughout this duration. I've been covering it, and I've been saying as a non-financial advisor that I thought it would be a good idea to do so, you know, during that time, because I just think it's always a good time, dollar cost average. And a lot of people were talking about how the price is going to go lower, and obviously the opposite happened. So I think the people that really capitalized were the people who stuck to dollar cost averaging. The people that were buying dips are probably out or low on dry powder. Then we obviously had this massive run up to almost 2 cents. And it's just been consolidating. And I love that the consolidation has remained elevated. So just looking very healthy. I really think it's looking very healthy. And along with the broader news, I think that I remain very optimistic as far as the chart. And then obviously, same thing goes for Pulse. Pulse actually, although from the bottom, I don't think it's been performing as well as HEX. It had made a higher high, which is cool. Same thing with Pulse X. Why? Because that's just what the market determined. I think a big reason also is just the reflexivity, especially in Pulse X, because it's been very, very oversold. But again, if you were accumulating Pulse X, I know Westcott Crypto was during this period, you're sitting pretty nice. You're sitting pretty nice, to say the least. So yeah, that's the HEX chart. That's the Pulse chart, and that's the Pulse X chart. Now, it's been pretty conclusive that there is correlation. Okay, I mean, in order for HEX to do well, Bitcoin has to do well. Money flows through Bitcoin to the altcoins. HEX is an altcoin. It's not exactly correlated. There are times where you see the Bitcoin price is up a lot and the HEX price is not. And you see times where the HEX price is up a lot and the Bitcoin price is not. But obviously, Bitcoin making all-time highs, I think, in this cycle is pivotal, is essential for HEX to do really well and really surpass its previous high of 52 cents. So I think it's important to follow it. And just following it, things look like they're playing out exactly as the cycle said it would play out. I mean, just look at it. Yes, Bitcoin's returns have always diminished, but the overall fear and greed pattern throughout the cycle has remained pretty consistent. Okay, right? This first cycle, right, and then this last one. So you had that massive run up happened around the same time as 2016, same time frame till all-time highs. It peaked out a little bit earlier in the first cycle in 2012, but then obviously it went down. I mean, it's really just tracing the last one. Now it's going back up. And according to the last cycle, there was a massive flush. Now, you could say that flush is not necessarily going to happen because there was extraordinary circumstances of the COVID dip, right, when the entire market crashed because of COVID. And I'm assuming, although nothing's certain or anything, that there's not going to be another one of those. So you could say maybe there's not going to be a pullback. I think there's going to be a pullback. There's just pullbacks. Pullbacks is part of it. I think Bitcoin's price has been cooling off. I think that we're due another maybe lower high before things really take off. Good news is, I mean, according to the cycle, the halving is in 4 months from now. Okay, and that's when things start to get crazy. So according to that, we should be experiencing some serious upside, in that time frame, which means which means that this is the accumulation phase. This is the time to dollar cost average. This is the time to get up, go do your job, go get your paycheck, not financial advice, and consider, putting money that you could obviously high risk money that you can afford to lose into crypto. So that's what I'm doing. I hope you guys are productive. I think that's part of what's forming this bottom is there's an increase in productivity because people are not, they're not sitting on substantial gains and selling like that they could sell and live off of. At this point, the prices dropped so much that people have got back to work, and now they're buying. They're not selling. There are more net contributors in terms of money. So I think what's playing out in my life is really representative of what's really going on in the market. I know Ben, who's a friend of the show, has also gone back to work. Brandon B, I know, is working. So a lot of people are working now, and a lot of people are dollar cost averaging and stuff. And I think the increase in productivity in the community is what really forms the bottom. And I think the new money coming in due to better market conditions is what is going to really bring things to the moon. And I think generally these things happen very fast, and I think we're getting close to that. So that's really good. Okay, that's what's going on in Bitcoin. If you look at also the Bitcoin dominance, this is the Bitcoin dominance chart. Bitcoin dominance goes up going into bull markets, and then it drops, and the altcoins start to have their time to shine. That's what's happened until now. That's really what is playing out right in front of us. It's all playing out. The plan is unfolding before our eyes. Everything that's supposed to happen is really happening. Now, there is concern about the broader markets. There is concern that, the interest rates are high, so that could prevent a bull market from happening. I don't think the high interest rates are going to matter as much as people think they will, because it's been the interest rates have been over 5% for a considerable amount of time, and the hiking is either finished or very close to it. Okay, so the time to look at rising interest rates, or the prospect of rising interest rates to affect the market was a year ago. Now, I think the risk, what's in the future is lowering of interest rates. So if you were a hedge fund manager going into looking at inflation at 6-7% and continuing to go up, and the Fed indicating that they were going to stop the QE and start raising interest rates, and that was the time to capitalize on it. Right now, the inflation's going down, and there's indication that rate hikes are paused and going to be lowered. The way I see it is now's the time to really capitalize on going long. I mean, that's my opinion. That's not financial advice. Do your own research. But I'd imagine that by the time they actually lower interest rates, because inflation's been down for a long period of time, you'd have missed it. The trades aren't that easy. Okay, so I think things are looking good. I think forget about lowering interest rates, just the prospect of interest rates being lowered sometime in the future is good enough. I mean, S&P 500's already maybe 5% away from an all-time high. So rate hikes don't worry me. The only thing that can, black swans, they're possible. Recessions, they're possible. They're not predictable. And those, it's just, you got to live through it if it happens, but they generally don't happen. They happen very rarely. So that's really the overall point as far as the the broader market. That's really the way I've seen it. And I think that if you're not accumulating now because of high interest rates, I think you're going to miss the greatest opportunity. Okay, 30 people watching. Smash the like button. Subscribe to the channel. We're not live every day at 12 p.m. Eastern anymore, but we're going to try and stream more frequently. It's fun doing so. So what's going on in the chat? We got some more people in here. Share it on Twitter or whatever. Let people know I'm live. If you can be so kind. This was short notice, and this is not the regular time frame that I was doing until now. Got Space Auctions. What's up, Space Auctions on Twitter? Bid Finesse, one of the earliest viewers and an OG. So thanks for tuning in. I wonder if there'll be a big BTC scam, scheme, or Ponzi this cycle. Probably, but I don't think it's going to be I don't think it's going to be the magnitude of what we've seen with FTX. I think the regulations really being implemented, and the government is paying close attention. I don't think something like that could happen. It's probably going to be something, but I don't think something like the FTX is gonna be able to operate under the nose of the SEC and the likes. So that's what I'd say. But yeah, there's always scams. There's scams on Pulse Chain, like as we speak, but like something the magnitude of FTX and a Sam Bankman-Fried, where he's everywhere, he's on every channel with all the politicians and just running an insolvent company. I don't see that happening. CI, when will more market participants finally discover that HEX is technically superior to Bitcoin? Man, that takes so long. Well, people are really starting to realize it. And I've already prepared some tabs that we're going to get into, especially like people that really are heavily involved in crypto. They're very much reporting on it. So I think it's not a matter of whether this is going to shine in the crypto space. I think it's very clear that HEX is going to do very well and be very prevalent in crypto, like the likes of things like ADA and things like Solana and stuff like that. The question is more like whether it's going to reach the prevalence of something like a Bitcoin this bull market. That's more the thing that we should be asking, in my opinion. And Chad Donnerschwanz, what's going on? Big shout out. Thank you for tuning in on such short notice. I appreciate it. It's great to see you too. Dynamic Soul, 4 months heavy in the kitchen. The kitchen wrist twisting, stir fry, cook it. Yeah. And Theo Sapien, what's up? Hey man, I haven't watched a stream in a few weeks. Have your thoughts on HEX changed given the recent demand it's had? Okay, so I actually made a little index card, did a little prep for what I was going to discuss. And the HEX PX thing is one of the things that I wanted to discuss. So I'll discuss it right now, in fact, and then we could maybe move further into more news. But as far as the HEX PX things, there was hype. There was a short-lived run-up where HEX it got to like the point where the point where like all the people that are bullish HEX were bragging was when there was like a 30% premium on HEX on Pulse Chain. I mean, and it's still, even at that peak, there was still a 30% premium. It didn't go to 1-to-1. And a lot of it was because of things like the Alex guy, making that $100,000 buy. Turned out that obviously the guy wasn't who he portrayed himself as, and he's dumping very heavily. There are people on Twitter that are covering it very in depth, like Silver the Antidote and like Brazology, and a lot more people. So why would he go to Ethereum? Well, the reason why is because as a whale, given that it's got low liquidity, but still some community participation, it's a great opportunity for people to pump and dump. It's a great thing that people with big bags could really stir up hype, pump the price up, get people in, and then exit on them, which is what they've been doing. Okay, so I think that's why he's chosen HEX. I mean, and probably more of that to come. But yeah, I mean, you look at Silver the Antidote, I think he's been coming around on it. A lot of people are coming around on it. So am I saying that HEX is going to die? No, I'm not saying that with certainty. But here's all I have to say is this. Is in the case where this ecosystem takes off, where HEX succeeds and does the price action that we want and think it's going to do, where Richard Hart's coins are extremely successful and gain this mass adoption, it's possible that HEX does okay. It's unlikely that it'll outperform probably the big three. It's very highly unlikely because HEX's biggest market niche is the yield, is the staking, which is too costly and unscalable. And there is also a possibility. Okay, so like it's possible it does okay, but there is a very decent chance where you have this community take off. People like HEX, people like Pulse Chain, people like PulseX, but HEX gets left behind because it just doesn't work. You know, it doesn't do what it's meant to do. And I remember, which is staking. I remember when the gas fees got to the whatever, became like hundreds of dollars to unstake. Like it costs more to pay the gas than what your actual stake was worth. Okay, like I remember that. Meaning you had a stake, you're unlocking $500, you could be spending $700 in gas. Okay, and as the stakes as like the cycles continue to pass, the stakes that mature have a longer duration, which means that it's more S-load function, it's more fees. There's also more participation on the Ethereum network. The price of Ethereum gets higher. There is a good chance, I don't want to say good chance, but there is a decent chance, or maybe a small chance, there is a chance that HEX just gets left behind. Doesn't do nearly the amount of gains that you're going to experience with HEX and PLS. So if you're someone coming into this market, if you're someone coming into this niche and you need to buy HEX, I mean, why would you go with the one that can fail even when everything else succeeds? And why would you go with the one that is too costly to stake? Doesn't make any sense. And the liquidities move over to Pulse Chain. The whale participation has moved over to Pulse Chain. The big money has moved over to Pulse Chain. The ratios reflected. It doesn't make any sense from a risk reward perspective to choose HEX if you're a new participant. Okay, I mean that's just what it is. I know a lot of people have a lot of money, you know, that they, you know, in their HEX stakes because they got in early and they don't want to see it go down. I don't want to see it go down. So they maybe would rather just try and sell it. But as a new investor, from a risk reward perspective, it makes zero sense. And consider there are other things aside from the costly staking, like the BankX whale with the 800 million. You have the Alex who has a couple hundred million, who's dumping. You're probably going to have more people do the pump and dump. I mean, it is a good target for pump and dump groups because there is participation and the liquidity is extremely low. So, I mean, I just won't go there. I'm not saying it's going to die, but from a risk reward perspective, it makes zero sense to participate on Ethereum right now. Even if Ethereum lowers the gas fees, the community's on Pulse Chain. Pulse Chain was created for HEX. It's Richard Hart's chain. You know, I mean, just risk reward, it only makes sense that HEX on Pulse Chain is going to do better. And it has been doing better. So, I mean, if you want to do a high and yeah, I mean, if you're a staker, I mean, we want people to stake. We want people to be in it for 15 years, for 10 years, for 5 years. And the way to do it is Pulse Chain. So it makes no sense. And no disrespect to anybody that likes it. It's something, there are very prominent people in the community. There are people that built this community would not be here for some people like Crypto Coffee and like Johnny Chaos. And I know they support it. And it is what it is, you know? I mean, it is what it is. But from my perspective, I think if you're a new investor, risk reward, it makes no sense to participate in EHEX. And I don't like this rubbish that like EHEX is going to do better. And it's really then you haven't been here. Like you haven't been watching Richard Hart's streams. You just don't get it. Like, why are you here? If you think EHEX is actually a better option, like, it doesn't make any sense to me. That's what I'd say. That's the EHEX PHEX thing. But I don't want to make this stream too much about that. But I know it's been a prevalent thing. Matty Allen actually had a huge stream with like some of the biggest names in here. So may as well wade in on the EHEX PHEX. And that was a good question. CI says, in the split of HEX into EHEX and PHEX, we could see and learn how the people give the token real value. You could fork it again, but will the people be incented to follow? Could there be a new version? If there's a fork, I don't think there will be a fork. I think probably they'll just lower that load, whatever. But if there would be, it's not going to be of EHEX. They're going to fork Pulse Chain. Like, simple. And I don't even know why we're talking about that. Okay. That's a $1 million problem. Anybody that's participating on Pulse Chain, and owns PLS and owns PHEX, if the network gets so clogged that, you know, it's expensive and there's a barrier to entry to new people, you're okay. Okay. Oh, Dynamic Soul has this was something else people were talking about. Do you like how Richard Hart made HEX more decentralized hosting on your own desktop? I would rather he didn't, but some people are making it a way bigger deal than it actually is. Like, you go to go.hex.com, you click an extra button, and it's the same thing. I don't, maybe there's something I'm missing, but the fact that, you know, Gold Key was going nuts on Twitter, and they had a whole debate with him and KDP. It's ridiculous. It's nothing. It's not something that will inhibit, you know, adoption, and it's not something that will inhibit staking at all. So I think Richard's a very smart guy. He knows the law very well, and he does things that are advantageous. So could be he knows something I don't. I'd rather he didn't, but he did, and it's not a big deal at all. That's what I'd say about that. Franklin, what's up, Franklin? It's late as hell. Your boy confused. It's called work, okay? I'm not available at 12 p.m. You know, I gotta be a wagey. Not everyone got in on day one like you, okay? What's up, Taylor Decel? Deckel? Decel. Hey, nice to see you. Welcome to the stream. I don't think I've seen you, so hope you're subscribed, and hope everyone here is subscribed. Yeah, let's get into some more stuff. You know, there's a lot of stuff that we could go into. We could go into the I like gopulse.com. We could check it out. What's interesting is I've been saying that I'm not a fan of the INC token, and following this pump that we just had, you know, everything's been sustainable for the most part, except for INC. It's at 87 cents. So, I mean, there was a good reason for not being so bullish on it. And it's underperformed. And it's really, its downside is magnified when the ecosystem has a pullback like we're seeing now. It just pulls back a lot more and it pumps less, you know. So I think that also will continue, in my opinion. All my opinion. Could be wrong, and if I am, you know, hey, whatever. But risk reward, I think, makes no sense to be accumulating INC. I think INC plays a very prevalent role in the ecosystem. Okay, like it's important. I like the way that Dylan from Fiat labeled it. It's an onboarding tool. It's important. People bring over their liquidity and put. It's important to have high liquidity and to incentivize people to provide it. I think that's really good. I think a lot of OGs that have a lot of like HEX and Pulse and stuff like that, they're earning a lot of money, and big ups to them. And I think if I were in that position, I would be, if you're a big whale, I think liquidity providing is good for earning passive income, and it's good for the ecosystem. We need liquidity. So I think it's a great thing, but it's definitely not something that I'd accumulate. So that's as far as the GoPulse.com stuff. And then there's the HEX daily stats. This is crazy. I remember when the TShare rate hit 30,000, it was like maybe 2 weeks ago or something. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I got a stake. And it's, oh my God, it's 30,433. It's already went up another 400. This thing goes up fast. And I'm quoting Johnny Chaos. He said it goes up 25% a year. So that could lead me into another thing I wanted to discuss. Current stakers are going up, which is great. Current holders are going up significantly, despite the recent price action to the downside. Everything's really good. And that's really the overall thing, is that when I look at the price action, when I look at the news, when I look at the numbers, just everything is so healthy. And I'm so happy to report that. I'm not just saying that. I mean, it's on chain, it's on the news. It's really great. So that leads me into the thing. Like, let's look at the increase in TShare rate. Okay. TShare rate. Where is it? Yeah. 35. It went up 35 yesterday. 3 days ago, went up 80. I mean, it keeps going up. So when it comes to, what should I accumulate? Okay. Like, people are thinking, should I buy Pulse? Should I buy HEX? Should I buy Pulse X? I think all of them are important. I think if you have more money, you're at more of a liberty to diversify. I think you should have some of each for sure. But the difference between HEX and Pulse X is that when it comes to HEX, there's a TShare rate, and that TShare rate is always going up. And if you sell the top at HEX, whatever, and buy lower, the TShare rate went up 50% over that duration. So even if you buy back lower, if you restake it, you're not getting as many TShares, you're not earning as much yield. But if you sell Pulse and you buy back lower, you have that much more, and you're not fighting that ever increasing TShare rate. So I think the most important thing, the greatest tool for achieving that generational wealth, is HEX, is having a staking ladder, is forcing the long time horizon. So there's a reason to believe HEX is going to outperform in the bull market. So far, it's been outperforming from the bottom. And I think also Dylan, he actually articulated it very well. He was saying, it's not liquid. Most of the circulation is locked up. So it's just less potential sell pressure. It's also, it gives yield. And even coins that were scams and gave yield did very well, like Celsius and Nexo and things like that. This is an extremely important tool in the sense that it does it trustlessly. There's no middleman issues. There's no admin keys, and it pays a lot more. And it makes you have a long time horizon. I think it's got the greatest product market fit. There's tons of L1s out there. There's a lot of dexes, but there's only really one hex, and I think it's very special. I think it's going to do the best, and I think irrespective, even if it doesn't do the best, it gives you the long time horizon and the yield, which is what makes you as an individual do the best. So I'm heavily prioritizing HEX. I want to lock in those T-shares. There's mass adoption. The people that come in after you are going to be dying to have gotten HEX and staked it when they were getting 30,000, one T-share for 30,000. Okay. So I think this is an incredible opportunity if you buy into the system. And that's why I prioritize HEX on Pulse Chain. Okay. There's more to cover, but I'm seeing some comments. So smash the like button, subscribe. Mike Go is a patron. Big shout out to you. You too could be a patron for all you watching. The link's in the description. I still do the Patreon meeting every Sunday, even though I don't stream. It's important that that happens. So big shout out to Mike Go. CI says, I personally think that the OA has a lion's share percentage of token supply to save it from the bug eaters so they cannot scoop them up cheap early. What do you think why the OA holds it? That doesn't really make sense because anybody could buy it. There's a lot on the market, and if they buy it early and the price goes up, I mean, what's the OA going to do? Sell? Buy and pump their bags? I think the reason why the OA controls most of it is because we have no expectation of profit from the work of others, but it's not staking incentivizes high yield, which incentivizes purchasing and staking. So that's the biggest reason. And centralized supply is very good for the price performance. Richard Hart talks about it, and there are other examples of other coins where they control most, where one wallet controls most of the supply, like BNB. Okay, so that's why I think so. I don't think. I think also this comment sort of implies that scooping out up early, meaning he's going to, it is going to release it into. I don't think the OA is ever going to sell. So I think the price will be priced in based on what's not in the. I don't think so. I think the OA's also done some good things like big payday. I don't know. Liquidity providing, stuff like that. Taylor, I've been watching you for over a year. Oh, nice. I haven't seen you in the comments. Okay, this is an interesting thing. Furu, this made my head explode. Stake your HEX for 60 days, take the yield, and throw it out 10 years, rinse and repeat. Okay, so the thing about the HEX TShare is that earlier always pays better. So you're better off taking all the HEX that you're going to throw down 10 years and doing it immediately instead of waiting 60 days to earn the yield. If you would just, if you have, let's say 10 million HEX, instead of rolling stakes and taking the yield and throwing it down 15 years, you're better off just taking that principle and throwing it down 15 years. You'll get a higher APY, and you'll get more T-shares because the T-share rate's always going up. So, I mean, it is something you could do if you want to take tons of profits, within the next like 1 or 2 years. But if you want to earn the most HEX, if you want to be the biggest player, if you want the highest yield, you're better off just taking it and making a staking ladder now rather than waiting 60 days in order to make every stake. The T-share rate's going up 2,000 HEX in about a week and a half. Crypto Coffee posted it. That was one of the tabs I prepared. So if that happens very frequently. So if you're waiting, if let's say you have a rolling stake for 60 days and then you're going to take the yield and throw it down, T-share rate could run up 3,000 against you easily. So you're better off. Your earlier pays better, so you're just better off making your stakes now, unless you have a short time horizon. That's also possible, but that is what I would say about that. Oh, Philip M says getting dumped on again with Pulse by sellers. That's the markets, right? W take. Thank you. Taylor, I don't know how to Dessel. To me, you're Taylor Dessel. But it's also risk mitigation and the ability to take profits when you want. It's also risk free. Yeah, I mean, if your time horizon is short and you want to just Hail Mary a little bit, a small percentage, fine. But we're in the community. There is the sort of the accepted pretense that HEX is going to do similar price action to like Bitcoin and Ethereum, maybe even better. So this idea that peeling off the yield and throwing it down 15 years would be better, would put you in a better position in 10 years, 15 years from now. I mean, according to our pretense, it's not good. So it's not, you'd be better off just throwing it all down. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. And anyways, I don't have that sort of bag where I get 100,000 HEX and be able to throw it down in 15 years. But I think Axis Alive is, I think he's a very smart guy. I think he's very talented. And I enjoy listening to him, even though he likes EHEX. So that much I'd say. BankX and Alex HEX. Thank you, Taylor. What do you think of 9-inch? Well, 9-inch tanked. It tanked a lot. I think it's a lot below sacrifice. And I mean, just look up the price chart for that. Maybe it comes back. Maybe it doesn't. But it's also like if you're creating a coin in this ecosystem, right? So like HEX is primary, Pulse is secondary, and like Pulse X is tertiary, right? So like all the whales, all the people in the community are mainly accumulating like those three. So like you're already 4 away. So usually like a strong community requires the core of the community like all in on something like on the crypto. And like when you're piggybacking off a community that's already established, the community participation, it's not going to be the dedication is going to be low. So it's just hard to gain traction. It's hard to gain traction. You can argue that the front end is better on 9-inch. It's very clean looking. It's cute. I think the idea of having a meme DEX is good. I think it's a cute idea, but at the same time, it doesn't have the Pulse branding and doesn't have the Richard Hart signature, which is huge. So I don't want anybody to do badly. I think it's hard to make it in this business. It's hard to gain a footing, especially when you're not primary, even amongst your strongest community members, right? So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Also, I think Richard Hart is been proven to be dedicated and to be benevolent and to want what's best. A lot of people in crypto that make projects don't do it for that reason, and there's no way of knowing, until it's too late. So I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. I think it's an interesting idea, but it's not something that I'm gonna engage in. And I'd say the same thing for liquid loans. Same thing. What's up, Compton? Thanks for tuning in. Meme coins on Pulse. Well, look at all the meme coins that, B-Roots was shilling a couple months ago. You'd be down a lot. They're not sustainable. They're not sustainable. They were sustainable when they were novel and when nobody knew about them, but now everybody knows about them and everyone's making them. So I expect like Doge and SHIB to do well on Ethereum. Everything else is probably not going to do well. Maybe there'll be one or two other ones that do something big, but if you're looking for it, you're probably going to miss it. There's just too many. And while you're missing it, you could have been in HEX. So that's what I think. What else is there to cover? Yeah, let's go do some more tabs. We're looking at the chat, make this a little bit maybe of a longer stream because haven't streamed in a while. So yeah, this was Crypto Coffee. TShare rate is going from 30,000 to 32,000 November 22nd. And so it's going up 2,000 HEX. The TShare rate is projected, it will increase when this stake matures 2,000 HEX. And it's not going from 30,000. It's already gone up 400 since then. It's going to be 32,400. So if you're sitting, there is price risk. So like if you buy HEX after the TShare rate goes up, but the price went down, you could still have more TShares. But if you're sitting on liquid HEX that you want, and that's a big risk. I wouldn't even play that risk. But if you're sitting on liquid HEX that you want staked, you may as well stake it now because you're only going to get less TShares, So that's huge, and that is something that is inherent in HEX. It is something that makes HEX special and gives assurance of sustainability and good price action. That the TShare rate's always going up. It's always better to buy. It's always better to stake now. It's always better to participate now, as opposed to later. So that's some good stuff. This got a lot of engagement, and this was the thing that I wanted to mention was this was Gold Key, and he actually got onto Altcoin Daily. Altcoin Daily covered him. I could play the clip for you guys. I could share tabs and just play the clip for you guys if you want. But Altcoin Daily was someone that was obviously very critical of HEX and Pulse Chain, and he was contemplating Pulse Chain becoming the next ADA. I don't want to get copyright striked, but I'll link the tweet in the chat for you guys, okay? You guys could watch it if you haven't already. If you're one of those that are not as active on Twitter. And that goes back to what I was saying earlier, which is that it's not a question of whether or not HEX or Pulse is going to make it within the crypto space. I think that's already pretty much a given because trust, nothing's a given, by the way. Anything could go to zero, but it's a lot more. It's to me, it's pretty much a given because trust has been established with Richard Hart. He hasn't run away. He's recently released a stream. He remains dedicated to this ecosystem, and he's likely going to stream when he has the ability to do so. So I think trust has been cemented, and that's a big thing in crypto. We like to talk about things being decentralized and trustless, but if the founders are not on board and they're malicious and they're in it for themselves, the crypto will fail. And it's been pretty much established that Richard Hart is not malicious and he wants it to succeed. So that's one. And two, it is unavoidable. Everyone's talking about it. I see it frequently on the biggest crypto channels. I see it on Ivan on Tech. I see it on now Altcoin Daily. The Moon Carl was talking about it with Da Vinci, talking about Hexagons. Everyone's talking about it. It's ubiquitous with crypto. It's been the biggest bubble on crypto bubbles, which is covered by like every major crypto YouTuber, Bitcoin YouTuber. I'm not talking about, Hex YouTuber. They're all talking about it, and the price hasn't even gotten started, in my opinion. So it's going to get major coverage amongst crypto influencers. BitBoy, obviously. I remember when there was whispers, or there were major influencers that had like 100,000, 200,000 subscribers on YouTube. I remember when they talked about Hex, it was like, oh, it's a big deal. It was like retweeted by every Hex influencer. It was talked about on every Hex stream. I used to put them in the thumbnail, made a big deal about it. It's not even a big deal anymore. So that's huge. So you have pretty much confirmation of Richard Hart's commitment and benevolency to the system, and you have massive coverage from crypto influencers. It's going to make it, provided crypto has a bull market. The question is now whether or not it will reach the adoption of something like Bitcoin or Ethereum, where you have Larry Fink from BlackRock talking about it, and you have all these other major financial institutions that manage billions of dollars talking about it. That's really the question. And it seems crazy given how fringe Hex is, given how given how colorful Richard Hart is, how not typical he is. It does seem like something that is not really possible. It does seem sort of anomalous. See, like an oxymoron sort of thing. But things in crypto, like if you look at Bitcoin, where it was compared to what it is now, if you look at it in its inception and it in its early years, it was unimaginable that it could reach this point, and here we are. So the idea that it's impossible for Hex and extremely unlikely, I think it's nonsense. I think Hex can reach that sort of adoption of Bitcoin and Ethereum. I think that's, yield is a very prevalent topic in crypto, and Hex does it better than anyone. The gas fees on Ethereum are the most prevalent issue when it comes to crypto, and Pulse Chain solves it better than everyone. So I see it being fair. I see it happening. I can imagine it happening. And I think it will happen. If I didn't think it would happen, I wouldn't have just made a 15-year stake. Okay. So I think it's going to happen, and it's a Cinderella story, but that's what we gotta aim for in crypto. And I think it's got everything that's needed. We just need a market. Okay. We just need a stream and be out there. So I think it will reach that. And I think it even sounded crazy for Hex and Pulse Chain to be talked about the way it is now in crypto, and it's happening. And we sort of become accustomed to it. It's not even a big deal anymore. If it weren't for the fact that I'm streaming rarely, I probably wouldn't have even brought up Altcoin Daily talking about it. These things just are par for the course at this point. Pretty much whenever there's massive price action on Hex, I tune into Ivan on Tech and I see him talking about it. It's just something that is, and I don't think anyone really, I don't think people really thought it would happen this fast, and here we are, and it's gone to the point where it's not even a big deal anymore. So I think Hex getting that sort of Bitcoin status is going to happen, and we'll be there, and it won't even be a big deal anymore. Okay. I mean, does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Okay. So yeah, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Hexadelic, hello from Melbourne. Oi, oi. Thanks for tuning in. Could you see Pulse getting listed on Coinbase this cycle? I don't think Coinbase, but I can see Binance. But again, things happen very fast. I wouldn't bet against it. That's something I'd say for certain. I also think Coinbase is hella overrated. I think Hex did better than anything that was on Coinbase or any centralized exchange for that matter. And it did it on a decentralized exchange. So I think and most of the time I've seen cryptos, actually get listed on centralized exchanges. That's when the early adopters have the liquidity to get out, and they often do. And that's why the price dumps. I think the best gains to be had, this is Richard Hart talking, is before the centralized exchange. I think it will get listed on Coinbase. I don't think it'll get listed this cycle, but I don't think that it's a big deal. I think centralized exchange listings are not what they were. We're not in 2016 anymore. I think the best opportunities are not on the centralized exchanges. So that's a $1 million problem, having to cash out, needing the liquidity to do that. And that's when I'd want it to get listed on a centralized exchange. Ivan loves him a hex pimp. Yeah, he does. Yeah, what else was there to talk about? There was also the Richard Hart stream. We could go into that a little bit. The Richard Hart stream, which was a recording, which was not a video. It was just audio, and that's why people are saying maybe it was AI. I don't think anyone seriously believes that because Richard Hart tweeted it, which means that it's him because he's not. Yeah, I mean, it was obviously him. What was the takeaway? The takeaway was, first of all, he's very cognizant of the law. I think he's doing, when he's not streaming, although it's frustrating, he's doing so because, he knows what he can and cannot do and what will put him in the best position to have the best legal outcome possible. And we all know that lawyers don't want you talking. So that's probably why he's not talking. And well, he is talking, but why he's not like streaming and not going on all the shows like he was. But I think obviously when it's right for him to do so strategically, he will come back. He wants to come back. He is deeply committed to this cause, I think. And if you look at his Twitter, I mean, he's been a lot more active since I stopped being as active. Okay. Like he is tweeting about trying to get people to send in their comments for review so there could be favorable rulings when it comes to crypto. So he's been doing that, which gives him good precedent. So he's been doing that, but he's also been talking about how his cryptos, he endorsed Vivek Ramaswamy. And he's also been talking about how his cryptos are better than all the other cryptos. Okay. And that's what he was doing in the bull market, and that's what he's doing now. So I think there's nothing that I heard in the live stream, okay, that I haven't already read on his Twitter or that I haven't heard from him in previous live streams. It's more or less the same. Like there was nothing really newsworthy. Well, I guess the front end wasn't a big deal. So there was no major news. There was no major announcement that you can do a whole show about, but it was a very good moral. It was very good for the morale. It reassured people that he didn't leave. And I think that was really good. And I'm happy that he did that. And it was very informative. So that's what I'd say. I'd say there was nothing major. There was no major announcement. It was more or less the same. Hex is the best. Pulse Chain's the best. Pulse X the best. He raised $500 million for charity. He owns no, he doesn't say that anymore. The world's largest diamond. Everything else sucks, but his stuff are good. Okay. The government doesn't do good things for you. Only he does good things for you. And submit your comments, get good rulings, everything that he's been saying on Twitter. But that it was nothing I haven't heard before, but it was just nice to hear it in his voice and hear it from him. I think that was good, and I recommend that everyone watch it. I think Matty Allen posted it on his YouTube, and Hexologist posted it on his YouTube. So yeah, that's really. Was there anything else was there any other? No, there's nothing else. I think the date to watch for is November 28th, which is in exactly 2 weeks from today. That's when there's a pre-trial. I think that's when maybe there'll be some more legal things to cover as far as whether this is going to court or whether there's a settlement, whether it gets dismissed, whether he got served, whether he didn't. I think there'll be more news to cover as far as like the SEC stuff. But the only like major SEC news that can hurt the price even more would be like criminal charges, which is DOJ. But people said that the shoe was going to drop when this lawsuit came out, and it's never dropped. Okay, so no news is good news. The longer time passes and there's no criminal charges, the more optimistic I am. I think all the people that would have sold because the SEC was going after him are out. It's priced, which means it's priced in, and which means that I think the bottom's in. I've been saying the bottom's in for quite a while, and it seems like that's been pretty accurate. But nothing's certain. The one thing that's certain in crypto is nothing is certain. Sure, we all heard that before, but that's what I'd say as far as that. I'm not worried about the interest rates. I'm not worried about the SEC. I look at the cyclical nature of crypto, and it continues to be cyclical. It continues, it's doing what it's supposed to do. We had the depression, the price is recovering, Bitcoin's recovering, Bitcoin dominance is recovering, the halving is coming, the interest rates are pausing, things really look healthy, okay? And that's the good news, okay? I think we're not going crazy yet. I think we still have time, but that's a good thing because time is on our side, right? Ben Cowan, I remember just constantly hearing that. Time is on our side. I think we have like 4 months till, we're in significant green, or we could say, hey, look at our staking ladders. We're so much more. We're already sitting on significant profits and earnings from our staking. That could be like HEX being in like 7-8 cents. If you've been accumulating now, you can look back and really be happy. I think we're maybe 4 months away from that, but from that crazy euphoria that was happening when HEX was at like 52 cents, when HEX was at like whatever 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 cents, and when Bitcoin was at 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, $70,000, I think like in like BitBoy Crypto doing his crazy Ben Armstrong Crypto doing his crazy rants and getting in trouble and those kinds of things, the memes, all those kinds of things. That's like maybe a year away, or maybe 7-8 months away, till it really gets started and people are willing to accept that a crypto is in a bull market and people are making these massive gains, which means that for now, it's the time to accumulate. This is the time to dollar cost average, and that's how I'm playing it. That's what I've been doing, and it's been working out pretty well. So yeah, that's really it. I think that's all I had to say. The question is whether or not you guys have anything to say. We have 42 watching. It's not as good as the 300 people that, we had watching concurrently when we had Pulse Chain launch, during those times. But at the same time, it's nice. I don't know. It's nice to have a job, be earning money, being able to accumulate crypto. It's nice there's something just sort of like intimate about the bear market. It's just nice. There's a wholesomeness to it. There's a brotherhood, there's a fraternity to it, and I'm really enjoying it. So take the opportunity. I'm going to read all your chats. The chat's not moving fast, and time is on your side. I'm not in a rush to end the stream, but at the same time, if you guys don't have any questions or don't have any chats, there's not much more for me to say. So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, leave your chats, and I'll take a look at them if you want to. And thank you guys for watching. So what's up? CI says, I don't think Binance, because CoinMarketCap belongs to Binance and they gatekeep HEX, ranked 201. They know that HEX is so superior that it would take a huge market cap if people would understand it. I mean, that's what we're seeing is what's happening now. And now is not when HEX gets ranked on Binance. When things get euphoric, that's when CoinMarketCap would probably list it more properly. But, right now, we're talking about right now. I'm talking about in 6-7 months from now. I don't know if it's still going to be having it ranked 201. In fact, I think it was your friend Sami that was tweeting about how Binance posted some instructions how to buy HEX, and they talked about it. I think there was, and there were multiple times where Binance, I think in articles, they mentioned it. So yeah, CoinMarketCap gatekeeping is not so optimistic, but that I think will change. I think also I think Binance as an organization, it's probably compartmentalized. The people working in CoinMarketCap might be hostile, but the people working in Binance might not be as hostile. In fact, I remember Binance posted a jukebox machine with a bunch of on their Twitter with a bunch of cryptos, and one of them was HEX. So they did that, and also CZ was commenting on Richard Hart's Prada song. If you want to gatekeep, you're probably not going to give clout to Richard Hart, and he was willing to do it. So I don't know if he's so aware of what's going on as far as like the CoinMarketCap gatekeeping. He's a very busy man with very little free time on his hands and bigger fish to fry. I think if HEX becomes prevalent and gets his attention, I wouldn't be surprised if he lists it. So that's what I'd say. But again, I think if the people that are really obsessed about centralized exchange listings, they're stuck in 2016. I think it could do well either way. I think even without a bridge, it could do well. But remains to be seen. Not without a bridge, without like direct fiat on ramps. Obviously, the bridge is important. Without like major direct fiat on ramps, like centralized exchanges, it could still do well. But yeah, Metastang, what's up? Patron, big shout out to Metastang. Thank you for tuning in. I want to see you on Sunday at the Patron meeting. Jake, Mr. Mean, what's up, Jake? Nice to see you. Hope you subscribe to the channel. Armando Corral says, any entries under SAC rate is like a generational buy. This pullback may be last chance to accumulate at these price points. My answer is, first of all, I agree, but I think dollar cost average is always the best thing to do. Thing is, I'm dollar cost averaging because I already have an amount that I'm happy with, but you might want to make a nice buy, not financial advice, and then, obviously not more than you can afford to lose, but then dollar cost average, just so you have peace of mind that there's good exposure. Like, I'm at the point where for me, obviously there are some people that have way more than me. I'm by no means anything close to a whale or anything like that, but I'm at the point where I've been accumulating for quite some time, and if the price, I don't have this feeling like when the price goes up, I don't have this feeling like, oh darn, I wish I would have bought more. And I'm happy, if the price goes up and I can never get, I can never double my TShare, TShares ever again, like that's fine. I'll do fine. Hex price does well, I'll be okay even if I never buy again, which I plan on buying again, just for the record. But what's up, Amit N? My pleasure. Mike Rubin, you got 5K subscribers in a bear market. Imagine what you're going to get going into the bull market. Glad you're killing it. Yeah, thank you. And we did a session together, and big shout out to you. Mike Rubin. Big shout out to Mike Rubin. And look forward to future sessions and just corresponding. And thank you for the kind words. We're going to make it. Mr. Chuck. Nice to see you, Mr. Chuck. Old friends. We're seeing old friends. I think that's the overall theme. Richard Hart talked a while ago about discounted future earnings with Amazon and how they scale up for the future gains instead of having an insane profit margin short term. Same with RH ecosystem. I don't know what that means, discounted future earnings. You're saying they didn't go up in price so fast? Amazon went up pretty fast for a stock. And Hex went up hella fast. Volatility is the price you pay. I don't know. I didn't see that. I'm not sure I understand it well enough. But hey, Richard Hart said, Hex is doing Amazon, good stuff like Amazon's doing good stuff. So I'm really a fan of that. Yeah. All right. I think we could call it a stream. We'll try and do more in the future, hopefully the near future. I'm still obviously a strong believer in this ecosystem. I'm happy I'm working. It doesn't give me as much time to stream, but it gives me more money to buy it, which is good. And I hope you guys are also productive and stuff like this. Like, subscribe, turn on the bell notification so you can be alerted next time I go live. It's not like you could just check your YouTube feed every day and you'll see a live stream, or you can tune in at 12 p.m. and I'll be there for sure. The times of streaming are going to be more arbitrary. You need the bell notification, okay? And I'm not even posting clips, so you're not going to get those clips of streams you already seen popping up. That could change in the bull market, but then you can always turn off the bell notification, okay? So make sure that you turn that bell notification on, and I will see you guys next time. I think these next 4 months are what's going to separate the wheat from the chaff. Hope I didn't butcher that. But although I can't be streaming, it's a very important time period. I think the decisions that we make are going to have major impacts on the rest of our lives, I believe. For the good or for the bad, okay? But I think it's going to be for the good. And I always say, quote, Rainmaker for real, who said on the stream, there's a difference between choices and decisions. Choices are whether you can have ketchup with your fries. Decisions are which, heart surgeon you're going to make. Decisions have major impacts on your life. The decisions that you make will have major impact on your life, on who you are as a person for the years to come. And I think the cryptos that you pick, and when you buy them, are going to have major impacts. some for the better, some for the worse. But I think these next 4 months are decision-making times, and I think the people that accumulate this ecosystem, in my opinion, not financial advice, but my money is where my mouth is. Believe me, like my money is where my mouth is. I really think it's going to have a very positive impact on us in the future. So leave it off at that, and I hope to be back on soon. I'm still here. I'm still following it very closely, and I'm still actively engaged. So like, subscribe, bell notification. I'll see you next time. Until then, have a great rest of your evening.